Hey, all, Andy here. Thursday, helping you build a career you love. Thanks for showing up to my live office hour session. Today, I actually have a tip for you on one step I want you to take that I think will make you win the interview. I'm pretty dang sure of it. And it's something that I don't think a lot of people think about, but is the absolute key to winning the interview. It will make the employer think you are the absolute perfect match for the job. It likely will get you paid more too. And before we'll dive right into that in a second. But I do always love to say hello to people who join me for these live shows. Mom is first. You see her on the list, right? Hey, Mom, love you. Mariella, great to have you. First time, Mariella, my VIP boot camper. Rob Birch, Lydia. Let's see who else. Secret Salt Shake, hey to you. Julie, Medina, Eileen, Word Dog, Jamie F., and everybody else who's watching from around the world, whether you're here with me live or watching on the recording, great to have you. Okay, I want to get right into something here related to interviewing. And I did a couple of about hour-long sessions earlier in the year on making your resume stand out, on a couple of great questions to ask in a job interview. Today, it's going to be like a compressed Reader's Digest, Cliff Notes, whatever the kids are calling it these days, Spark Notes session of that, because I want to draw your attention to something. And on Tuesday, just a couple days ago, I put a video out on a tactic I want you to change when you're interviewing with senior executives. And if you haven't checked that video out, it's about 6 or 7 minutes. Check that out because there's a really good technique there. But the reason I mention that video is because on that video there was a member of my job search coaching program. She's also a leader as well, Artie Sharma, who asked me this question. And this is really, really important. She said, hey, Andy, you look as lively as always. Well, thanks, Artie, if you're here. I was thinking, can we not ask the interviewer what their goals or future plans are and then show how our skills, domain, experience, etc. would benefit in achieving those goals? Maybe throw some ideas. Could be they already know about those ideas but have not executed. Now, that is absolutely a great question. It is absolutely a tactic that I want you to employ. This was my response to her on the YouTube channel. Not only is it okay, but it's a must-do. But I take it one step further. One thing to remember, their goals are likely the same goals for anybody in that type of company or unit. Basically, all organizations have the same types of goals in general. Okay, I understand that they might have different missions and a different vision to get them there. But generally speaking, each department in each organization essentially has the same goal. And I'll expand on this in a second. But what will truly separate you, the job candidate, is the way you overcome the problems they have that they're specifically encountering as they try to attain their goals. This is where the secret sauce is. It's not in knowing what their goals are. It's helping them overcome the challenges. So corporate goals tend to be the same across companies. The problem each company has in attaining those goals are what makes it unique. Your ability to overcome their unique problems is what will make you the perfect match. Go get them. So I've been talking with a lot of my coaching clients, my one-to-one coaching in the one-to-one coaching sessions that I've been having. We've been focusing a lot on this lately because I've been doing a lot of interview coaching. And I want to bring this to the community today because it is important that you understand what their goals are. And if you saw my video earlier in the year about how to make your resume stand out in 2023, one of the things that I said is a first step that you ought to do in order to prepare a great resume that will entice interviewers to want to, or companies to invite you in for an interview. And then when you get into the interview, you show them that the highlights on your resume that are going to turn into the stories that you're going to tell them in the interview are about how you have previously helped others achieve their goals, which are the same as these goals. And I want you to do that in terms of your position. So one of the things I mentioned, and one of the things I want to reiterate here is, you want to make sure that you ask yourself, insert whatever your position is, what are my top 3 goals? So what do I mean? Well, if you're a marketer and you're on the marketing team, generally we know that the marketing team, their goal is to increase brand awareness, make it easier for individuals in the world to discover their company, make it easier for individuals in the world to recognize their company, recognize the insignia, the blue box, the whatever, the packaging, the format, whatever it is. We want to be able to secure more prospects, identify more leads, make it easier for the sales team to turn those leads into what? Customers, right? We want to get as many leads as possible. We want to get as many leads as possible, as cheaply as possible. And the goals are all related to this. Whatever you do as a marketer or on the marketing team, you are contributing to goals like that. That's what I mean by what are my top 3 goals. And it starts with you, because as you start to do the desk work, that then helps you take this information, translate it into bullets and highlights and information on your resume, which will then be things you'll be talking about in the interview. This is the first step that I mentioned. And the second thing that I mentioned related to this was when you want to think about your goals, you want to think of them in terms of what I call the Great 8. Those of you that have been following me for any period of time know that I believe that employers basically care about 8 areas, and that you as an employee do 1 or more of these 8 areas as part of your day in and day out work. You contribute somewhere along the way to one of these 8. I'm going to blow through them really quickly. Revenue generation, market awareness, customer attraction, customer happiness, company growth, employee happiness, cost reduction, and process efficiency. This is what you do in some way, shape, or form. You might not be on the tip of the sword, meaning you might not generate revenue as a result of being a salesperson who stamps a new contract, but maybe you're the engineer that supports the sales process. Maybe you're the person in charge of managing the proposal development. Maybe you're the person who's in inside sales. Maybe you're the person who does research to figure out new prospects for the salespeople to go out and speak to. In some way, shape, or form, you all do at least one of these. And so when you're thinking about your goals, you're gonna think of them in terms of these great 8 areas. And when you're packaging your resume, the highlights and the bullets on your resume should address one of these 8 areas, because if it doesn't do that, you're not really speaking about the value you're contributing. You're speaking more to the activity you're performing, which is less powerful. All right, so you think about your goals, you think in these terms, and you give yourself a running start. And if you need a little bit, one extra scoot to think about, well, what could those goals truly be? You can ask yourself 3 questions. What are my or my team's goals, right, in general? Well, I might be on the marketing team, but my goal is to write good copy for the social media messages that we're going to be putting out there. Fine, but that social media message is going to be used to circulate online to attract people, because what? People buy what's in front of them online most of the time this century. Right, kind of thing. All right, well, all right, your goal is contributing to that. Maybe you actually have a specific job description, that's JD, that has objectives on it. I hope I don't have any misspellings. I scratched these cards at about 15 minutes before we got to the session. I thought I need to give them a lesson today. So all this was whipped up in the last 15 minutes. So specific objectives on a job description. So maybe you can see specifically what the employer wants you to do, what you'll be responsible for. They might be citing an activity, but you know that's going to lead into a goal attainment. Right? So be thinking in terms of ultimately what's the value I'm going to be contributing. Or another thing you could do from your desk, even if you don't have opportunities identified yet that you have interviews for, if I'm a project manager, go get project manager descriptions across different types of what? Consumer products companies, healthcare companies, technology companies, or whatever it might be, whatever your area of expertise is. Start to look at, well, what are the goals and objectives of those positions for those companies? In general, they're going to be fairly universal, okay? Who's tracking so far? I know I'm talking fast because I want to get to the main thrust, but this is going to give you a running start, kind of like what Artie was saying. Now, if you would like the 58-minute version of what I just said in, I don't know, 7 minutes, I got the video, how to make your resume stand out in 2023. I know, I think I made that YouTube button pretty perfect in the minimal amount of time I spent there. Okay, so you check that out for more on that. I take you through everything related to the resume. I take you through how to package all this stuff. I got slides. I got all kinds of stuff in that video. I even got a case study. And I even got some case studies and samples and those kind of things. And I even bring you all the way into the interviewing process about how to turn these goal-based, highlight-based bullets into interview stories. So check that out. Now, we got this thing in, okay, so you get into the interview, much like Artie was asking, should we get them talking about their goals? We got this expression in sales, and I've said it to you many times, you want to sell to the gap. And what does that mean? Well, if you're going to sell someone something, or sell some company something, you need to figure out where their hole is, right? And I don't mean the literal hole, right? But they have a gap. They have a problem they need solved. They have an aspiration they need achieved or they want to achieve. And there's a gap in their ability to do it, to overcome the issue, to mitigate the issue, to achieve the aspiration. And you become more valuable if you have already solved and created some kind of value, whether that's your knowledge, whether that's a playbook, whether that's a thing or whatever that helps them solve that problem and overcome that gap. What do all of you, likely a lot of you, the 100 and whatever you that are on here, you have a job searching problem, right? You have a job searching gap. You need help understanding how to attain what? What is your goal? My goal is to find the right job. Hopefully your goal is to find the right job where you're going to be happy and get paid what you feel comfortable with or deserve, if you want to call it that. But basically, that's your goal. But what is unique about each one of you isn't the goal. It's the problem you have in attaining that goal. So your gap is we can drill down into your gap based on how you need to solve the problem in order to attain your goal. Somebody came to me yesterday. Their goal was they didn't know what direction to head in to figure out how to find their job. Somebody else I coached yesterday knew exactly where he wanted to be. He was having trouble overcoming the interview and actually attaining the offer because he needed some storytelling coaching. He had some other issues. I had somebody else yesterday who felt like she had a gap in her skill set, but otherwise was perfect for a role, but kept running into roadblocks, needed to know how to overcome this one issue. All three of them had the same goal. None of them had the same problems, right? Kind of thing. So do you see there's an element that you need? Good news for you. I've seen all your problems. I've handled all your problems, and I've got a solution, a booklet, a template, or whatever, or a script for all your problems, right? Hopefully that's why you come here. But you get where I'm going with this, right? So now what is most powerful? If I said to you, I'll help you find a great job, that might make you feel better. But if I said, I've helped 27-year-old females in the UK get jobs in the investment banking business, and I know all the problems you're going to encounter and all the obstacles and all the rebuttals you need to say, what's going to sound better? What's gonna make you feel better? I mean, assuming you're a 27-year-old female in the UK, right? Like, you follow me? So the more narrow you go, the more golden it sounds, right? The more perfect match Andy is as a coach. Okay, so now for you, I don't want you to sell to the gap, which is helping them achieve the goal. I want you to sell to the narrowest gap. That's narrowest gap. And the narrowest gap is their problems to achieve the goals. So when you think about getting into an interview and you walk in as the marketer who's going to help them increase their brand awareness, you could naturally assume, if you haven't even gathered this information from the screener, what are the goals of the unit? What are the obstacles the unit's encountered? Now, if I'm there and I'm marketing, or I'm the customer service agent and I want to know what the issues are. Well, the issues could be, we don't have customer service agents who are empathetic. They're just not very nice people. We need better ones. It could be, we have the loveliest of people. we have a terrible system that I have to go through 18 different screens whenever somebody wants to understand their benefits package because they have to go see a doctor. Okay, well, those are completely different problems, all contributing to that company's ability to support its customers and respond quickly and more accurately, as fast as possible, or fix the problem the first time and make sure it never happens again, right? Or whatever the issue is. The marketer, it could be, we don't know how to market our product. We don't know how to market our product on television. We don't know how to write social media copy because we're an old 100-year-old company who's always sold our product this way. We don't understand Facebook ads. Well, nobody understands Facebook ads, but you get what I'm saying with this. So you need to think about what their problems can be, and then ask them, well, what are your problems? So if you can get to the point in the interview where you can say, hey, look, I mean, every marketing team in the world wants more leads, wants better matches in the leads, and wants them as inexpensively as possible. I get that that's what we want to do. What's been the issue so far in reaching your goal? What's the problem? What's the issue? What's your challenge, right? With the emphasis on your and challenge. Because when you can elicit that information, then what? Then you can speak to how you specifically understand how to handle that unique problem, which is specific to them. Not a general problem that everybody has, but their specific problem. So this is what's going to elevate your match in their mind. It isn't necessarily who's the better candidate or who's got more experience. It's who zones in on the bullseye and talks specifically about what they want to speak about. Job searching is incredibly hard. It doesn't matter what the market is. It doesn't matter who it's in favor of, whether it's the employer or the employee. But when you get into the interview, this aspect of getting yourself into the right spot to discuss the things that will be music to their ears is a very simple concept. And even if you haven't studied all my storytelling techniques and all that other stuff, if you could just get on the playing field talking about their specific problems, and even if they're asking you stupid behavioral interview questions that have nothing to do with anything, right? And they're asking you about a time when, and you're having to deal with all that nonsense, eventually you're going to get to the point where you get to ask a question. And when you get to the point where you get to ask a question, that's the question I would ask first. The second one might be, what does success look like? That's another one that will yield good information. But if I'm so pressed for time and I want to get right to the heart of what you need, that's where I'm going. And what you can do is spend some time, you know what I'm going to tell you next, right? Spend some time thinking about all the problems that they could possibly have. People say, well, I don't know what the problem, it doesn't matter. There's a finite list of issues that they're going to have related to their ability to accomplish whatever the more likely goal is. If any of you tell me what it is you do, I can tell you what the top 10 problems are going to be for that job, right? So you, as somebody who is an ace at what you do, or even if you're not an ace at what you do, you can research, you can Google, you can chat GPT, you can talk to people, you can talk to me, right? And figure out what the most common problems are. Here's the beautiful kicker. If you can get them talking about their problems and you ask them that and they start telling you what their problems are, you don't even have to have implemented or solved that problem as long as you are aware that that problem can be solved and have some high-level ideas about how your company or your team solved them. They will infer that you know how to do that. Okay, so let's say you were on the marketing team and your job was to write copy for campaigns that you were going to run, but you didn't run the campaigns and you did them a certain way, or your company did them a certain way. If somebody says, well, our problem is we're not really sure how to run campaigns related to this. We don't seem to get a high response rate. You can say, oh, well, when I was at whatever company, insert company here, we did this. Have you tried that? You're already racking points up. You didn't even have to be the person who did it. The fact that you are just familiar with the techniques and the process, and likely, even if it was a black box, we did this and this is what happened. And I know that we, executed it this way, or we did this and that. You will rack up tremendous points if you are able to get them into this area where you can focus on it and show them what you know and how you've solved that problem. There are problems, and you don't even need to have done it exactly in one project or specifically the way the issues they have. The fact that you understand the concepts and you at some point or another have some exposure to the solutions will make them feel awesome about you. The fact that you got the discussion into this spot in and of itself will be a feather in your cap. So I want you to make sure that you are taking this step. And of course, then what you're going to do is then you can go into the storytelling techniques that I've provided in umpteen other videos about what the context was related to your goal, what your approach was, what the result was, and all that other good stuff. But get them talking about this. If you want to know exactly the different techniques I've offered up and how to get them into that area to talk about their problems, guess what? Got another video, 2 questions to ask in a job interview that will get you hired. And this is about another probably, several minute video that goes into how to do this, how to think through it, and then how to tell your stories in the wake of surfacing these problems. So I wanted to come today with a little package for you, but this is the big deal. Just to recap it very quickly though, the 1 step, get them talking about their problems, because their problems are what is unique to them. They will feel you are a better match if you understand and have overcome their problems in some way. And even if you have not done it exactly the way they need to do it, the fact that you understand what their issues are and that they can be resolved and you have an idea of how to do that will win the day. Okay, that's that. If you enjoyed that little pack, make sure you click the like button, share this video. There's a lot of people that need help. If you're here with me live, we're going to the Q&A. If you're watching this on the recording, I'll see you next week. All right, I wanted to make sure I came with something in hand, so I quickly scratched that together this morning for you. If you haven't checked out that video from Tuesday about how to change tactics when job interviewing with an executive, check it out. It's pretty good, pretty dang good video. Okay. What do we got? Kara, how are we doing? Is this thing on? I got red today. See, I'm wearing purple. So I didn't want to go with the purple one because that would have been a little matchy, right? Last week, I think it was blue. It takes forever to get these because I have to order them from the Netherlands because apparently in the U.S., we don't know how to make this little pop screen, windscreen, whatever we're calling them these days. All right. Mariella, great to see you again. Lydia, I love that picture. I'd love to know when you got married. Congratulations again. Secret Salt Shake. What's up, Medina T, my leader? If you are a leader, a boot camper, or any of my programs, use your hashtag. If you're interested in any of my programs, support at milewalk.com is the place to be because Kara has all the answers and discounts usually. Let's see. It is nice though when you want to play outside. Oh yeah. Yeah, I got coaching sessions this afternoon, and then I got a party at my house because, can we all say it? Happy NFL Draft Day. How fun. Okay, Mohit, what's up? Also had a recent job interview. Pretty sure that I was a good fit, and the interview went well too, but didn't get the offer. That's all right. Keep plugging. How to get the feedback on why I was not being selected. Okay, yes, you are in the leadership program. You jumped in last Friday as we had that session on skill building. Great to have you. So, I do have a video on how to get the feedback from an employer. Now, what I do is, but just to give you a quick minute here, it's okay to ask for feedback. At that point, if you do not get any feedback, don't be bummed, okay? And let me give you 2 points. Number one, it doesn't behoove the employer to give you feedback because they have a greater downside, for saying anything silly or, in this hypersensitive world that we live in nowadays. And they don't want to subject themselves to lawsuits or anything. So they don't owe you any feedback. I believe it's better of them to share and build a good relationship with you, even if you don't get the job. That's me. But don't expect anything. Now, that's part one. Second part is if you get feedback, then you need to take these things right here and put the Andy filters on them so that you can properly interpret what it is they're saying. And by that, I mean, you need to be able to bring in the value in what their insight they're giving you. Because I've got this expression. I don't know if I've ever shared it with you. I probably have, but I talk so much that I'm guessing I have. Nothing is everything and everything is something. Right? So I don't know if you've ever heard me say that, but nothing is everything, right? But everything, there is something in everything. So when someone is going to give you feedback, there's some grain of truth somewhere in there, but the applicability and what you do with that feedback is going to carry the day for you. So if somebody said to me, well, Andy, it would have been nice if you would have had more experience in. Now, you're looking at yourself thinking, huh? I got loads of experience in that space. Then the feedback for you that's valuable isn't that you didn't have experience, because that's, in your mind, inaccurate. What's the value in the feedback? I didn't convey that. What's the next piece? Did they ask me? Did they make an assumption? Did I know or should I have known that was important? Did I ask them if they had any reservations? Did I highlight or did I ask them, is this area important, if they didn't ask? Maybe we ran out of time. Now you start looking at the value in the feedback. It isn't about accuracy. Feedback is not about accuracy of the feedback, ever. It's about what you take from the feedback and what you do with the feedback to look for the value in it, then to apply the value you extracted. Who's tracking on that? Wait, I'm not saying, oh, well, that's just bunk because you don't know what you're talking. I'm not saying approach it that way. I'm saying look for the value and the applicability. If someone says, well, we would have liked, or they might just say, we don't think you connected with those people. You didn't have the chemistry. Okay, cool, right? What can you do with that? Did you build rapport? Were you bonding? Were they stiff and you couldn't melt the ice? Kind of thing. There's value in that, right? So that's how I look at that. That's a really good question. But remember, the value in the feedback is in your application of the value you can extract. The best thing to ask yourself, if you cannot ask them this, but anybody who says something to you and you need to interpret whether you think they're crazy, you think they're spot on, or you think they're maybe close, what's the question you need to ask? Why do you think that? Your feelings are your feelings. I cannot argue with that. That'd be ridiculous. You feel how you feel. I'm not going to tell you how to feel. I'm not going to tell you what to like or not, right? I want to know why you think what you think so that I can interpret it, so I have perspective and I could figure out logically, because I don't feel what you feel, so I could learn. That's how you process feedback. Okay, so I hope that helped, my new leader. Great to have you. Kara is telling me that I missed something, and I don't see it in my chat. Oh, hold on. Let me see. Kara, hang on. I'm matching. Hang on, folks. I'm matching chats, and Lydia Melton, I must have skipped something. Kara, thank you. I see it in the YouTube chat, and I don't see it in my eCam chat. Lydia, what do you got here? My company was acquired by a venture capital firm. What's the best way to prevent extra workload without additional pay? I will be a team player, but I do not want to think ahead, as I suspect this will be an issue. Okay, Lydia Melton. Okay, first things first. One of my favorite quotes, some Mark Twainism, is I've been through some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened. And number one, I like all of you, Lydia included, to be prepared for anything. But I don't want you to be wasting mental energy worrying about anything until you know you need to work. That's the first thing. Okay, I can't help myself. I just got to get that out. Second thing is Harley says hello. And the third thing is whenever any of you get acquired. Now, Lydia, I don't know exactly what you do. If you are on the sales team and a venture capital company acquires your organization, then you better be doing double time, because they're gonna want top line revenue. It's the single greatest thing a venture capital cares about. The profit margins can always be manipulated, and obviously cost reduction is good too, but most of the time they look at the tip of the sword, and that's the first place they go, and that's the first place they start firing people, because you're not going up fast enough. When you talk about extra workload, I don't know what your position type is, so it's difficult to say if that's likely to occur. Usually what will happen, if a venture capital company acquires you, it depends what your company is. If it's rare that a venture capital company, it's not zero chance of this, it's rare that they acquire a company for which they already have assets, meaning we already do this, we want more people who do this. That's not usually the way to accelerate growth. It is a way to accelerate growth, but it's usually not a great way, because if I'm doubling up my capacity, there is efficiencies and I can remove a number of people. What the greater likelihood is that they buy a function or product or something that is complementary, because, right, I now have more functions, more features, more assets, more integrations, more whatever, a new offering that I'm giving to the world. And that new offering is oftentimes a greater accelerator than more bodies or people that do something I already do. It's not 100% rule. I'm just, without knowing all the terms and conditions here and the what's and the wherefores, I'm just speculating. I'm saying this because if you are in my latter scenario, then I wouldn't even be worried about it. I would just be thinking, okay, they're likely for a period of time going to let you operate and your management team operate in the capacity it's currently operating. And that's just going to be the way it'll be for some period of time. There will be some time horizon that they have targeted for perhaps a more integrated approach. But in the short term, that's usually what happens. Now, without knowing what you do, I wouldn't be worried about preventing extra workload or anything until I had an understanding of what the organogram's going to look like, the org chart's going to look like, once everything goes according to their plan or what their targets are. And so I wouldn't be worried about any of this until I found out more information. That's really. I mean, I hope the additional color helps, but I wouldn't give this a second thought until I understood, what the approach was going to be. It's a good question, though. It really is. And I know a lot of people, by the way, so a lot of you, I'm guessing, know this, but for those of you that don't, I was an information technology and management consultant for like 18 years. And then in 2004, I opened up a recruitment firm, and I recruited for IT and software companies, software as a service, but big tech companies and a lot of others. And so I saw hundreds, not always affecting me, but hundreds of acquisitions over the 30 some odd years of that. those stints of my career. And so it is very common in the software space where a lot of the tech companies gobble up each other because there are functions and features and things that the different software products or different IT products or consulting services can offer. So we see it a lot there. We see it a lot in healthcare. Now we're seeing it a lot in banks, right? And have. So I'm working with somebody right now in Europe who's going through a massive acquisition situation, and her company's getting acquired by a bigger one. So I get it. All right, Kara, let me know if I miss any more. And Jay, what's up? Julie, Perez, Ali, how you doing? Rob Birch, first timer. Mariella, first timer. I love it. Colleen Gibson, great to see you. Rob Bronsing, how you doing, buddy? Looks like you are in a fun spot wherever that picture is. If you're in the market for senior level roles, how should I update my LinkedIn profile so more recruiters will notice me, as I think it is too operational now? Okay. LinkedIn has a okay, so let's I'm going to give you a super short version. LinkedIn, there's two aspects of getting noticed. Okay? So this is LinkedIn in a couple of minutes. How do I get noticed on LinkedIn? I have a video. If you want the 20-minute version, that's on YouTube. The 3-minute version is you create your profile and you make sure that you are filling it in, fill everything in. That's first. Make sure you're using proper terminology. Don't be cheap. Don't be cheeky. Like your title or your headline shouldn't be chief cook and bottle washer or anything funky. Just put specific functional nomenclature in there. Make sure everything is filled in. And if Robert and anybody else who wants recruiters to notice them, make sure you select in your settings that I'm not talking about put open a network ring around your face. Don't do that. Just say I'm open to being contacted. There's a setting for recruiters, and you can put some notations in the box of your preferences and things like that. And recruiters and companies pay for LinkedIn premium packages that are recruiter packages or recruitment packages or whatever they're calling it these days. But basically, they have abilities to find you in an automated fashion based on searching, and they're able to capture, track, and do a bunch of other things. And recruiters are lazy. So what they'll do is a lot of times they go for the low-hanging fruit. And even though 88% of people are open to changing jobs, they will predominantly go with people who have said, I'm open to being contacted by recruiters. That's an open invitation. That person is likely more receptive. All right. You fill all that in. So if somebody's searching for you, they'll be likely to find it. You can slant your profile however you want based on where you want to go. And the other element is that's a static nature. The other element is the dynamic nature of LinkedIn. The more you are active on LinkedIn, I'm not talking about searching for people. I'm talking about comments, likes, shares, posts, meaning every day. If I'm Robert and anybody else who's looking for a job, I am going to LinkedIn every single day and putting a post out that can be distributed, a short form post. Circulate something. Hey, I saw this article. Here's my thoughts on this. What do you think? Hey, I'm noticing this trend. Does anybody else notice this? Put something out. I don't care what it is. Just send LinkedIn that you are active. And the other thing that I would do is maybe once a week, write an article and put a long form article. This is the dynamic nature. It's an algorithm that rewards activity. So if someone is searching for you, they're going to be searching based on static information, but also the fact that dynamically you will likely have more interactions, more activity on your profile that will lead to more connections, more circulations, and other things that are likely to raise your probability of being discovered. And that's it. If it's like me putting up my Milewalk Academy website, milewalkacademy.com if you don't know what that is, and not doing anything and expecting to be discovered. No, I have to circulate it. I have to drive traffic to the page. Why? So it goes up in Google rankings. LinkedIn is very similar. And LinkedIn has help text that even indicates what I just shared. So I would probably be surfing around that, and I would definitely watch how to get noticed on LinkedIn, the video that I have on my YouTube channel. So that's a great question right there. Eugene joining for the first time. I love it. How many can I get a hand up for all the first timers? Anybody who's a first timer, please give me your hand up. Let me know. I love to know that you're from Singapore. Man, it's like, what is it, like midnight by you? It might be 1 or 2 in the morning. I talk to people. I got to talk to them like 5 in the morning. I'm 5 in the morning my time. We meet for breakfast, and it's like bedtime for them. Brad Young, I got a heart from Kara here. That means we get love. And it said, he's a boot camper. It says job search coaching program. If you don't know that, love the program. Really has helped me get organized and better understand the actions I need to take. Brad, always love to hear that. Any of my boot campers, all of you, make sure we're connected on LinkedIn. Say hello. Any of my boot campers, don't forget to send me your stories. Right? I always love to read about you and your background. So if you're new to the boot camp, like the second or third day you're in the program, I send you a message and say, hey, share your story with me and all that good stuff. Make sure you guys are sharing those. I read every single one of them, and I reply to every single one of them. Jamie F., what's up? All right. Oh, Lydia, there's the Kara. Now I see Lydia's question. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what the deal was. All right. Secret Salt Shake. What do we got? As a designer for 20 years, most competitive salaries are tech, fintech, etc. Senior roles filled internally is common practice, and entry roles won't hire overqualified people. Is warm, hot intro the only way? Okay, wait. So you pinned me into a corner with that question because that's a yes or no question. Is warm, hot intro the only way? No, of course not. What are better ways? So I am all about the job search challenge and Secret Salt Shake. If you are not familiar with the job search challenge, I have a free 30-minute version on my YouTube channel and an extra 30-minute video that's the advanced tactics. So there's a little playlist, job search challenge playlist on my YouTube channel. It's about an hour total. I have a 7 or 8 module, I guess, job search challenge, full-blown, all details, $500 product. But I also give that $500 product away free if you're a member of my job search coaching program. So those are options. Now, what is the job search challenge? It's about reaching out to individuals and targeting them for prospective jobs. So it's all based on everything that you do day in and day out is 100% within your control. It's designed, it's deliberate, it's proactive, and no one can ever stop you from what I'm about to tell you to do. Target company list. Peel off 3 companies a day. Within those 3 companies on a Monday, 3 companies, there should be an individual you can find in the company that you can send a thoughtful message to, like a boss, an HR person, a teammate, a potential teammate. I don't care who you send it to. An admin, you could send it to the CEOs. Pick somebody, find somebody, and send a thoughtful message. So that's 3 companies, 3 individuals aligned to those companies, and 3 messages each day. And so what you're doing is you're constantly reaching out to the type of people who are greatly aligned and give you probability of actually getting you in the door for a prospective job. If you can't find somebody, or maybe you know somebody who knows somebody at the company. So if you send it to me and I know somebody at the company and I can make an intro, that counts as part of the challenge. The challenge is get you comfortable with spending your time at the high value activities that likely lead to your employment. It's giving you consistency, control, and a cadence that makes you disciplined in doing this, which will stack up reach outs, which will ultimately lead to you getting hired. Anytime you put your resume into the applicant tracking system, that does not count because it's a terrible way to get a job. Yes, some of you will get your job that way, but statistically speaking, you have a low probability and you're wasting a lot of time when you could be spending it finding companies, finding people, and sending your messages. So if you subscribe to that philosophy and you try that, in 1 week, you would have 15 different companies that you contacted. That's if you do the bare minimum of the challenge. In 2 weeks, that's what? 30, right? In a month, right? You're talking 60. That's it. You skip weekends. So you're gonna have a greater chance of finding your opportunity that way. So warm, hot intro is the only way. No. I would go to the job search challenge. And any of you, if I was just starting my job search, it didn't matter if I was 22 or 72 or everybody in between or anybody outside those numbers, that's the way I would roll. All right. Hey, Frank, sunny Toronto, love it. Mari, what's up? Trish Berry, hi. Yes. So I have these little wind muffs. I get them from a place. Hey, any of you want these little wind muffs? I had to find this place in, oh, you know what? I'm sure now I'm not going to, dang, where is it? It's, oh, I don't know where it is. It's called like the Reporter Store. And it's in the Netherlands. Because like I said, apparently we don't in the US know how to make these colored ones that fit the microphone that I have. Arthur? How you doing? Let's make some shifts happen. I love it. Angelica, how are you? Esau, what's up? Lisa Williams, Birmingham. Let's see, what do we got here? Pias? Is that how you pronounce your name? Hi, I have received an offer. Awesome. From employer A. Awesome. It's close to current comp. Is it okay to ask HR to set up a time with the hiring manager with follow-up? Yes. Request benefit detail? Yes. Ask for pay increase? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. And, sorry, whenever I say yes, my two little puppies who are in the crate doing a nap in the housey, they run up because they think I'm going to pet them because they think they did something good. But yes, I'm saying yes to you. Do it. And I would check out my salary negotiation videos on how to do some of that. Aaron, what's up? Fellow triathlete. I got to run today. Let's see, what did I do? I swam yesterday. I biked, strength trained, ran. This is so many workouts. I work and I sweat, I eat and I sleep. Of course, when I'm in the pool, then I don't sweat. All right, GBC, is that Gisela? Pink wait, just so you guys want to laugh? Here, this is what I see. So Gisela I must have a pink wavy hand, right? So, but that's what I see, and I know somebody is waving. Little insider things. Tanisha, what's up? How you been? Arthur's from Hampshire, Hampshire, England. Love it. Medina, hey Andy, during interviews, I'm often asked why I left my previous company, 6 months fixed contract. Okay, I say it was a fixed term and that the company hires lots of people temporarily because of new changes. Is the question, is there anything you could do better in the response? No, right. I was on a contract. That's it. I was on a contract. I finished the project. That you might want to throw in. I finished the project. Medina, but my answer doesn't sound believable. The truth is negative and it's... Oh, wait. Your internal truth is negative. The truth is negative and lots of people are leaving that company. How to answer this question in the best way without poo-pooing. Oh, wait. You could tell she follows me because I always say poo-pooing. Well, it's also a good thing my dogs are sleeping because they might run to the bathroom. Medina, I would just stick to that. I was on a contract. I completed the job. I loved every minute of it. Kind of thing. So let me extend this. I mean, I say this a lot. When you are in explanation mode. I also say, I call that defense mode, because what's happening when you get asked a question like that is you're explaining. Oh, I see you were out of work for a year. You're in explaining mode. I see you have a gap here. There's an explanation mode, right? Defense mode, which means you now have to waste your breath and take time out, understandingly so, to explain something. The rule is as little as possible, as fast as possible, get out of defense mode and get back on offense, okay? So only share what's necessary, the minimum amount of what's necessary in that explanation so you can get back on offense. I was on a contract. I loved it. I completed this great project. It was over. I can get in and out of that answer in under 10 seconds, under 7 seconds probably, and that should be that. If they want to ask more questions, let them ask more questions. Well, would you have liked to stay? It would have been nice, but at the time they didn't have anything available. Okay, is there anything else you could have done to, like, now you're getting into, now that's really weird. So beyond that, I just don't see them drilling you. Don't introduce information that invites somebody to ask for clarification. That's why minimum is better. So get out of defense, get the offense back on the field, so to speak. Audrey the animal, my Instagram friend. How you doing? Where you been? Love the dancing videos. Hi, long time. Do you have a resource to figure out a fair salary for a job overseas and how to calculate it? So I don't have videos on that because so a couple things. My approach is that I don't believe any of the sites that say, hey, these salaries are estimated at, or here's the now the conversion ratios of, well, here's what the dollar's worth, and here's what the dollar will buy you or won't buy you, or whatever currency you're in. You could look at cost of living adjustments and kind of mileage for the dollar, what you'll get for your buck, and those kind of things. And I do believe there are sites out there that will be helpful with that. There are also, I believe, other sites that might help you look at what the going rate is. However, I would only look at that with a grain of salt, because there's going to be wild gyrations. You know, in the US, project managers can make $50,000 or $500,000 and everything in between. So, and I'm not kidding, like, that's true. So it's difficult to really be specific in calculating. What I always say, what carries the day for me is I'm going to look at what I'm going to do, who I'm going to do it with, what the opportunity is, what trajectory I'm on, and am I moving somewhere where I need a job to get there. And that in and of itself is gold. And it's a great school district for my kids, or it's a whatever, or my husband or my wife or my partner or spouse, whatever, is going, and I'm a trailer, or I'm the trailing spouse, and it's great just to be employed again and get moved. There's a number of factors that I look at, and then I say, okay, if I'm going to look at this in a vacuum, am I happy? That's all that matters, right? At the end of the day, are you comfortable with that amount of money? And do you feel that, you know, and because there's I want to pitch my value perspective and get as much as possible. And then on the other side of that is, okay, based on that amount of money, that's pretty good, and I can live off that and I'll be happy, and I'll just do a great job, and we'll see about making more within this company or with another company. So that's the way I approach that. All right, Mari and Pamela and New Life Creator. Hey, that's Stacy, Brian. Jose, what's up? Lurking for a bit, my friend, because you probably on your job that's, I don't know, a few months old. Stephen Green. The NFL draft. I had half a mind to get on a plane and come there. Kansas City. Ian, what's up? Shamoon, how you doing? Tom, who man? Look at all those boot campers. And we got a question from Adam Stark. If you boss hunt for a role, they say to apply on the website, then HR later sends you a generic rejection email. Should you reply and move on? Okay. Adam, I I can't remember. I think you have the Boss Hunting Bible. I'm not entirely sure. For those of you who don't know what the Boss Hunting Bible is, in the public domain, I offer you 2 free boss hunting templates. If you haven't checked them out, Kara, maybe we could drop this into the chat, the boss hunting packet. And there's 2 templates. One if you know a position's open, and one if you don't know a position's open. And the email is designed for you, as whatever your profession is, to target a potential boss or a manager or a person of authority in the area that you likely would work, even if it's not a bullseye, but you're going direct to someone who could potentially hire you. Qualifying this by saying you actually have requisite skills that person would need. So if you have a marketing background and you want a career change over to sales and you're targeting the VP of sales, this technique's not going to work. You need to be a salesperson targeting a salesperson kind of thing. You get where I'm going with this. Okay. What Adam is asking is, if I do this and then the person says, please apply online, and you go ahead and you reply back and you say, because in the Boss Hunting Bible, I explain all this in nauseating detail. I give you not only those scripts, but dozens of other scripts for all the permutations and combinations of things they can say or do, and what you should do in the wake of that, and all the ins and outs and subject lines and this and that, and all that stuff's in the Bible, which is in the premium domain. When you get a situation like this, first rule of Andy-isms is, what can I do with this right now? What can I do with this right now? I got a rejection email. Okay, if you say you could do nothing, then the chain dies, right? But what can I do? I can go back to the boss and say, hey, thank you so much. I did apply. I got what appears to be a automated rejection message. Before I move on, can I ask you, do you think it would be worth whatever? Would you take another look? Could you connect me with HR? Could you check if HR has looked at my background? It appears there's nobody's looked at it. I don't care. Like, package this up and go back. That you could do that, right? No one's stopping you. And then what can happen? They can get back to you and say what? Sorry, Adam, I leave it to them. They could get back to you and say, hang on a second, I will forward it. It could be total silence, in which case what? Total silence, depending on some of your predetermined amount of time, whatever that is, where you decide 2 weeks later, I haven't heard from that boss, go directly to the HR person and a recruiter and say, hey, I connected with so-and-so a few weeks ago. He asked me to put my resume in the applicant tracking system. I did that. I got what looks like an automated rejection email. I just wanted to follow up because I know sometimes the systems can screen out. Would you be willing to take a look at my resume? And like, what can I do with this? Keep going, keep going, keep going. That's one side of my mouth. The other side of my mouth says, I don't waste a lot of time chasing people who aren't engaging. Now, however, what would I do to increase my probability in anything I do in life? I would have all of those templates already locked and loaded for all those scenarios, so that the amount of time it would take me to pull that template up, change the name, hit the button is going to take seconds out of my life. And I'm not going to worry about what happens because it took seconds, not hours. Okay, so if you all are interested in all the responses and all the templates and all that stuff, that's in my job search coaching program. You can see Kara; she'll give you a couple $100 off if you want to get in, into the interactive package of that program and get all this stuff. But any of you, what can I do with this right now? What's my response? Now, if you are job searching, and you are taking the time to craft unique emails every single time something like this happens, you're burning a lot of time in areas that are not highly probable. Once you make the connection, you got the rejection, you sent the follow-up, you're now getting into territory where your probability is dropping exponentially. Just because you sent it into the applicant trashing system and you got an automated rejection, that you're still in a spot where there is a great probability your resume was never seen, which means you can go back to the boss or back to the HR person. And I get messaged daily in my email inbox from people in my programs who said, Andy, I didn't see this. I got in the program. I had already applied. I got an auto rejection from this company. Should I file? Go hit a boss. Pretend like they never saw it. And then they go and they send the message, and then the boss gets back to them, and then they're like, hey, now I got my new job, or I got an interview, or I got a whatever. So what the point is, there's a blueprinting to everything you do that expedites your ability to be efficient when you're trying to handle this. If you are somebody who's working full time and trying to navigate your job search, and you don't have these templates, or you haven't developed templates of your own that say, take, boom, cover letter A, response 1 to B, right? Go. Like, you need to have your system down to that so you're not wasting any time. And once you engineer it the first time, label it if you don't want to pre-engineer it. That's what I would do. So I would exhaust my avenues before I moved on, except I'm qualifying my level of exhaustion here would be minimal, because I would be like, boom, hit. It's like you go to the doc and they hit the knee and boom, your foot goes up kind of thing. That's what I'm talking about here. Have all that ready. That's what I would do. It's a good question, but think about it in those terms. Kara, how am I doing? I'm not missing anybody, am I? And P.S., I think I got that. Is it okay to ask HR? Yes on all those. Issa, what do you got here? Need to write a comp package to owner of 3 person. I believe I already answered this, but I like this question, and I think you have some new color here. Okay, Issa's a boot camper. Need to write a comp package proposal to owner of 3-person company. I will be a W-2, so it's changed. A W-2 base plus commission. Do I pad it? And is there a psychology when writing it? Yes. Okay. Issa, if you have not seen the advanced negotiation tactics session in your boot camp in module 5, so go into your main boot camp product, job search coaching product, module 5. There's a main session on salary negotiation. There's a case study on salary negotiation. There's other things, how to handle multiple job offers, and there's another session on advanced negotiation tactics. On the advanced negotiation tactics, what you're going to do is you're going to create a template, a grid of sorts, and you're going to talk about what your objectives and value is that you're going to contribute, the activities it's going to take in order to achieve them, and then you're going to look at what it is that you're actually going to do, what the results will likely be. You're going to agree to the results and the value of the results. You put the word psychology in there. The biggest mistake that 99.9% of people make when they're negotiating is they're trying to negotiate based on relative numbers that have absolutely nothing to do with what they're going to contribute. Well, the market says, that job pays 100. I don't care what the market says. Here's how I value it. My eye as an employer is on what? The cost. Your job as a seller is to do what? Get these eyes off that cost and onto what? The value. Get me on the dollars I'm going to get. Because right now I think you cost me whatever, $100,000. That's all I can see. You want to buy my job search program? What do you look at? How much is it going to cost me? Instead of how much am I losing every day? How much faster am I going to find my job? How much more am I going to get paid? Right? All of a sudden the cost isn't my focal point. It's the value, right? What my life is going to be like, how much I'm going to earn. You're trying to move their eyes off your cost, your salary, your commissions, and onto, if I do X, you get Y, I get Z, right? Kind of thing. So you're going to pay me 2% of all the money I bring in. You get $2 million. I get 40 grand. Is different than I want 40 grand. Who's tracking with this? Do you see the difference? Your focal point and what you're doing, we call this framing. So that's a proper term, psychological proper term, framing, getting somebody to look at something the way you want them to look at it, hopefully not in a manipulative way. This is for their benefit, right? You need to have context around the fact that you're going to make $2 million and I'm only going to get 40,000 of that. Seems like a damn good deal, right? Kind of thing. But if you're trying to argue that I want 100 plus the 40, it just sounds like 140,000 to me. Do you guys get this? Can I get a hey in the chat? This is one of the biggest mistakes that y'all make when you're trying to negotiate your salary, because you're trying to negotiate it based on two things: what you think you should be paid and what you want to be paid, or what you think the market's pay is, or what you think is fair. And the F word, fair, is the worst word to ever use in a negotiation. Because if you say something like, I think this is fair, you're calling me unfair, right? I'm not being fair. So you got to think about this when you're negotiating. So when you think about what you want to pay, Isa, I go through all this for you in that session and how to make it look. And then you go and you talk to your boss and you say, I put together this sheet of what you want me to do, what I'm going to accomplish, what it's going to mean to you. And then we're going to agree on how much you're going to pay me in base and in commissions. I guarantee you, when you show, because you need to translate for them. If I'm getting X commissions and you're giving me a percentage or a flat amount or a whatever, or laddered or whatever it is, that means I made you X. You're giving me a fraction of that. So 2 million to 40,000 is way different than, oh man, I got to give you 2%. That's a lot of money, right? Okay, Isa, I hope that helped. That's get their head off, get their eyeballs off your cost. What's the first thing you do when you join one of my programs? Swipe the card, right? Hurts. I know it hurts. I want you to think of it as an investment. What's the first thing an employer does when they hire somebody? They start paying them. 2 weeks later, 1 month later, hurts. It hurts, right? Because you haven't contributed the value yet. You're welcome. You're welcome. That's great. That's great. That's a great question. That's really a good one. Check that video out. It's all buttoned up for you. Hey, now I gotta get back to my place. Sorry, folks. Hang on. Sorry, I slid all the way down because I was looking, hoping y'all were gonna raise your hands. What's chat's long? Hang on. All right. Hey, there's Kara, Denisha, Marie, Barker. What's up? God bless you too, Marie. Ad nauseum. Love it. I was recently fired for behavioral issues. There was no doubt about my job performance. How would I frame this story in an interview while not disparaging my former employer? Okay. So, two things. Number one, I don't know what your behavioral issues were. And I can't give you an answer of what to say unless I know exactly what transpired. Remember this, though. People are hired for what they can do, but they're fired for who they are. And as an employer, when an employer looks at you and they fall in love with your trade skills, they fire you because of your traits. Okay? So, and you don't like them because of their behavior as well. They weren't fair to me. They didn't appreciate me enough. They didn't reward me enough. So when I say this, because when you are evaluating employers, you need to make sure you're looking for this. And any of you that are hirers, I want you to make sure that you were looking for this. By the way, side note here, not next Thursday, but the Thursday after, I'm doing a whole hiring session that will be phenomenal for job seekers and hirers. I'm unlocking one of the recordings in my leadership library. I've been wanting to bring this to you for a long time, and I finally broke down, and I'm going to show it to the public. But when you're explaining the story with an interviewer, you're going to need to figure out some way to say, my employer and I, either we agreed that it was better that I move on because I was looking for, without having the details, it is impossible for me to give you an answer. So I hope you appreciate that. If you, I need to sign off here in about 6 minutes because I have some coaching sessions that are bucking up against this. But if you can squeeze that in, I might be able to give you a better answer. If you could do that quickly, maybe Kara can slack it to me. Alyssa? Is it Elisa? Or Alyssa? Interviewers focusing on my employment periods and moved on due to toxic settings and saying that job applicants overvalue themselves. Thoughts? I'm not sure specifically what you want my thoughts on. If they're focusing on the fact that you have a number of jumps, I do have a job hopper video. Not calling you a job hopper. I don't know what your background looks like. And the other thing is, when someone looks at you, recruiters will look at you holistically. Meaning, when you put your resume together, if you've had like in the last 3 years, 1 year, 1 year, 1 year at 3 different employers, but prior to that you had 5 years, and prior to that you had 5 years or 10 years or whatever. When you look at this, it's going to be easier to explain these jumps that, hey, in the last few years, I've had this one issue that's caused me to have these bumps. That's been resolved, and so on. If you had 20 years of one year runs, that's a completely different animal. So I don't know what to tell you other than check that video out. And then saying that job applicants overvalue themselves, I don't know what makes them say that. Let's go back to an answer I gave earlier in the talk here today. Is what's your best friend? On the feedback one that Mohit asked us, right? Why do you think what you think? What makes you think applicants overvalue themselves? Oh, well, they want so much money, and I don't think that we should pay them so much money. So hold on. Okay, so hang on. Perhaps, now, we're off the script for a second. You need to ascertain whether that employer is just cheap, or what are you willing to pay for? I wouldn't, if somebody said to me, Andy, applicants overvalue themselves, my response would be, what makes you think that? Okay, wait, and then there would be another question. The next question is the home run question. What makes you think that? What do you consider to be worth this much money? What skills would an employee have? Why are you going to ask them that? Because the next thing I'm going to tell them is how I have all those, right? The gap between what they think and what they want to pay and what you know is you're focused. I'm not saying you, but just in general, if you're focusing on what they're saying, that job candidates overvalue themselves, what you have to get at isn't, well, I think that's silly. It's, okay, well, hang on. What would you value? How much would you pay for that? Have you been able to find someone with all those skills? I wouldn't quit those questions until I was perfectly in checkmate position. Because once I understand what you expect, I'm willing to pay this if you bring me this, this, and this. You want to interview with me? I'll tell you that up front. I'm willing to pay more. Can you do all these things right now? Ready baked? Okay, can we work toward that? Then you start here. And then we go to here when you can do all these things. So Alyssa, this is a great, great question. This, again, going back to the salary negotiation pieces, if you can't get them to explain how they value what they value and how much they're willing to pay for that, you can't make an argument. You don't know what's up in their head. So I hope that helps. That's a great question. I hope all of you think about that. That's really, sorry, my candle burned out. That's really, really good. Really good. Okay, wait, I want to get ad nauseum back in here. Thanks, Andy. I mentioned that a coworker who wasn't present in the meeting wasn't the best choice for a project. This individual was connected and my boss found it disrespectful. Okay. All right. So there's a couple ways to play this. If it's me, and wait, I'm going to give you a couple of ifs, okay? Because I have to look at everything. If you came to ad nauseum, I don't know what your background looks like. I don't know who you are, what your background looks like. But let's say you got a stellar resume, meaning you got skills I just pay for, right? Skills coming out your pockets. And I really like your background. And I got in an interview with you, and you had this situation where, look, I was doing great. I loved my employer. There was this situation, and I gave my opinion. And as it turned out in hindsight, it was a rather bad mistake on my part, because I shared my honest opinion that I didn't think a coworker was the proper fit for a particular role or whatever. And you know what? I own that. That's my mistake, and I learned a ton from that. But as you can see from my resume, I've got pretty good runs. I'm a great, loyal person, and so on. If you gave me that, I'd be done with it. I'd be on to the next thing, because I'd want to evaluate for myself. Now hold on. If you're going to tell me, well, Andy, hang on, I got in the last 10 years, I've had 7 jobs, then I got to go a whole different route. But because I'm short on time, I'm going to have to go with the positive here. So I hope, ad nauseum, I hope that helps you, because I don't mind. It is better to own that mistake if you truly have, if I'm looking at you holistically, right? I love everything about you, and it's like this, you had this issue here. Now, the other thing is even better. If you'd been at that company for 5 years and that happened, that would be over in a matter of seconds. I would just move on into the next questions. I hope that helps. All right, wait, real quick. All y'all got a video coming up on a new video Tuesday. We got live office hours next Thursday. The following Thursday, I've got a hiring special. Following Friday, so that would be May 12th, I got a leadership session on delegation. That is very complicated and very good and very fun. So, love all of you. Thank you so much for all the time and attention. Hope you like the red wind muff. And I don't know what color I'm coming back with next Thursday, but I'll see you then. Take care.